where can I make money? What am I good at? And what does the world need? Right. And for, the new entrepreneurs in listening, here on your podcast, it's so much more about what can I do that I enjoy, that I would just do anyway, whether or not I get paid for it, but bonus points if you would get paid for it. What does the world need? And then what actually moves the needle for other people? Where's the impact there?
Welcome to Season 3 of Beyond the Business Plan, the podcast for burned out professionals and entrepreneurs who know there's more to life than just hitting the next revenue goal. I'm Leanne Lyon, founder and chief joy officer of joyminder.com. I'm a private money broker and creator of the Sailing System, SAILING system, for designing a business and life you actually love. Each week this season, I'll be talking with guests and sharing stories about what happens after the business plan works. Money, real estate, legacy, faith, and whole person success. If you're ready to join the Sail Setters and chart your own course beyond burnout, hit that follow or subscribe so you catch every episode. My guest today is a serial entrepreneur. It's spelled SERIAL, not cereal like, General Mills. He's a serial entrepreneur and the co-founder of Xray.tech, where he's pioneering workflow design to empower the next generation of knowledge workers. Previously, he founded and successfully exited the design agency Checkmate Digital. And with his new company, he's committed to helping teams maximize their impact and transform how work gets done. When not working, Tom does this thing called the Iron Man. He's an Iron Man triathlete. Wow. 3D printer artist and recreational musician. Please welcome Tom Nassr. Tom, are you there?
Hello, Leanne. Thank you so much for having me here.
There you are in lots of green.
Yeah, I like to keep it fresh around here, so it's nice on the
green
eyes.
is a very fresh color, I will say, for sure. Anybody that's listening to the podcast, you might want to pop over to YouTube and check it out. He's got a very green light. And before the show, you actually showed me you can change it. You said it's the color of the day that you can change the color, so that's kind of cool too.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do see quite a bit of music behind you, and you got some plants behind you. I have a not green thumb, but I'm happy you can keep something alive. Besides plants, you keep businesses alive too.
Yeah, with the whole entrepreneurial journey, sometimes things can get a little stressful, as you know, and your listeners know. And it's nice to have a balance, right? If you can just grab a guitar or grow a plant here and there, it's nice to balance out the extreme of being an entrepreneur for sure.
Yep, we're getting into, as we're recording this, we may not play it right away, but as we're recording this, we're getting into winter. And in Minnesota, that means fireplace season. We actually heat our home with a fireplace. And my activity for the next several months will be getting up from my desk and putting another log on the fire so that I don't freeze to death.
No, there's something special about the smell of a fireplace in the winter.
Oh, absolutely. It's so cozy. It really is. And we have a direct vent so that I get the heat right into my office, even though the fireplace is across the house.
Oh, nice.
So it's really lovely. But yeah, whatever it takes, sitting still for too long, they say, is the new smoking. And so whatever we can do to actually take a physical break from our work is good. But we work too. Now you've had we said it in the intro, a serial entrepreneurship journey. Have you always been an entrepreneur?
I have. I was the type of kid growing up in middle school or something that would bring the pump to the park and try to get people to pay $1 to pump up their tires on their bikes, right? Like I've always been like this. This is just the way that I have been to try to build something. Obviously earlier on it wasn't quite as visionary so much as necessary to try to buy the latest video game or something. But yeah, I've always been starting businesses, and fresh out of college, I started businesses as well.
Okay. Well, then have you ever had a W-2?
I have had a W-2.
Okay.
It hasn't been my only thing, but my first W-2 was actually sweeping a 100,000 square foot warehouse. I would just sweep the floor. That was my first job, actually. And believe it or not, there is a wrong way to do that. You can sweep the floor the wrong way, and I learned that. I learned that. So
Wow, that's what
yeah.
you do, 40 hours a week.
Well, I mean, it was my very first job, right? So I was
Yeah,
still
yeah.
in
No, I get it.
middle school, actually, or high school at the
Oh,
time.
okay.
So it was, all I was really qualified to do was sweep the floor. But yeah, that's where I started, right? And now, ironically, sweeping around the house is like one of the most therapeutic things for me. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna sweep around. But yeah, I mean, I have had W-2s. I've worked at a golf course. I've sold cutlery. I've done various things. Sold yogurt for a while. I've done various things in a W-2 capacity, but there was almost always a secondary thing, right? You do your 9 to 5, and with that you have some level of stability, and then on the other side you're able to learn something, try something, build something else, and that was always my balance between the two.
Okay. At what point were you able to step away from having that backup, if you will, of a W-2 and start into something that really was able to sustain you in and of itself?
Yeah, it was. So I had various jobs and internships in college. I double majored in philosophy and entrepreneurship. This was about 15 years ago now, 10, 15 years ago now. And I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, so I was exposed to a lot of different things. And coming out of college, I said to myself, one of the best things I could learn right now is probably how to build a digital business. Social media had just taken off, and there's like a lot of buzz around building some digital product that could scale infinitely, right? And you can join the ranks of all these Silicon Valley entrepreneurs that would build the digital business. So I started learning quite literally by trying to build a website. And I went in my phone book, started with A, ended up with B's and C's, and called every person in my phone and said, "Can I build you a website for free? I just want to like end up learning how to do this. I want to build a portfolio so I can, eventually sell, building a website." I got to B, and my friend Bobby actually ran a nonprofit for heart health awareness. Unfortunately, his father had passed from a heart attack unexpectedly, and he started this heart health awareness. It was called Have a Heart. It was a charity, and we built that first website for $500 in
Oh, you even got
one
paid.
month. Yeah, we even got paid, and he insisted on it. It was incredibly generous of him to do that. But we got paid. We put the website up. I learned about WordPress and how to build a website. Right? I was fresh. Right? I read a lot more Plato than I did programming in college, and it turned out to really be a foundational skill of not so much building the website, but hey, I'm going to learn how to do this thing. I don't know how to do it now. This person is eyes wide open, accepting of me to learn on their behalf, and I'm going to go for it. And I,
That's awesome.
set myself a deadline of 1 month. It wasn't the fanciest website in the world. I certainly wouldn't pay for somebody to build a website like that now. And frankly, with AI, you can do 100 times better in a hundredth of the time. But it was where I started, and that really began my career in running my at then design agency, Checkmate Digital, to build things for people on the web and design things for people on the web.
And so when you were doing that, that was that you started out part-time? You still had a job at that point, or you had actually gone all in and $500 is what you
I
made?
so I went all in because I graduated late from college.
Okay.
I didn't attend enough classes in my philosophy degree to actually like get the degree, and my philosophy professors were kind enough to allow me to submit everything late. So because of that, I had somehow convinced the university to allow me to stay on campus during that summer. So I had 3 months to figure out, hey, I got free housing. I still need to complete these course, these papers, which I wrote my philosophy thesis on the philosophy of entrepreneurship, so that tied together nicely. Uh, and I had this window of time, so I started by just getting this one website, and we found a famous YouTuber that would support us, and a couple other websites came in, and next thing you know, we had tens of thousands of dollars that we were transacting on a monthly basis, and it turned into a real business.
Now, I imagine somebody listening is like, wait, they did what? What do you mean you found a YouTuber who could get behind it? What does that mean?
We found a YouTuber. I mean, it was a wonderful YouTuber. Angry Grandpa was his name. At the time, he had a famous YouTube video where his son was, or the Angry Grandpa, was smashing a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3 with like a hammer, and he blew up. He had like 10 million views on this video, and they started. We reached out to them and we said, "Hey, have you considered selling merchandise?" So like Angry Grandpa T-shirts and things like that.
Wow.
And they had millions of subscribers, and they had never done that. So we ended up building them an e-commerce store and sourcing a local T-shirt company, logistics, actually printing this stuff. And we started running the Angry Grandpa store, and that was like one of several random things that we were able to secure, and we got a slice of every
Yep.
T-shirt that was sold because we handled the logistics on the back end.
Oh,
So
awesome.
it
That's a
was
dream. It's a dream story. It really is. I mean, I will say, I think there's a lot of people who listen to this and they're like, well, I'd like to start a business. And to some degree, they believe that their business is going to start more or less as easily as yours did.
yeah. I
I
mean,
hate to
easy isn't the word I
say,
would pick.
well, but I mean that it became tens of thousands successful in a shorter period of time. There's many people who go, years without hitting that level of success. Just to be clear, there's no guarantee just because you do certain things, you're going to get certain places. But wow, what an amazing story. And also proof it does happen.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, and it wasn't just me, just to be clear, right? I
Yeah.
had other people that decided to join me for whatever reason when, I couldn't pay them at first, right?
Uh-huh.
I found my first programmer on Craigslist, right? He had a job posting. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking to build websites," and I just, I had him in my college living room or whatever, right? And just interviewed him, and he turned out to be a year ahead of me. It was like a whole bunch of really
Mhm.
convenient things that just happened at the right time. And I was fortunate enough to go to a lot of like networking events and have mentors above me that could introduce me to people and give me opportunities, right? It wasn't just me stumbling upon a famous YouTuber. It
Right.
really was a methodical, hey, I'm going to use my network, I'm going to go to events, I'm going to expose myself to maybe uncomfortable situations where I need to pitch something that I'm not entirely confident in. But so long as that level of communication was clear with all the parties, at the end of the day, it ended up working out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that transparency up front really, really does matter. I mean, there's times in every entrepreneur's life where things aren't necessarily going the way you want them to, even when you have reached a level of like, okay, we're rolling now, we're good now. And then sometimes things happen. I don't know, COVID. We're suddenly, oh wait, things are different now. But we also learn and gain things from that. For instance, being able to do a podcast and do the recording like we're doing this. So
Totally.
there's pros and cons to everything. It's fun fact. I got my start, one of my first successes in sales was around websites as well. This is back probably 5 years before you kind of got started, 2006-ish. I worked for maybe five, maybe four. It's somewhere on these trophies behind me. I
Hmm.
worked for this thing called Yellow Book Yellow Pages.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I sold the spine of a book and I sold full page ads down to the little tiny ads. And but I really love doing it because I got to hear the stories of the entrepreneurs and then help them turn their dreams and their ideal customers into something that was visual. It was really
Hmm.
fun. But at the same time, Yellow Book was starting to put up pages for businesses. And so
Mm.
it's my job as the sales rep to say, and we'd like to feature you on yellowbook.com.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, that's just a fad. That's not going to last. And when was the last time you opened up a Yellow Pages?
Exactly.
So they were wrong, but I did, talked a lot of people into getting them, and it was one of the reasons I became President's Club for them. Because I did open their eyes to the fact that this was not a fad. This was something that they needed to start investing into right away.
Did you even try to entertain that conversation, right? When somebody is headstrong on it not being or it being a fad like that, right? It's like, hey, buddy, right? We're going on the internet. Like whether you're coming or not, people are going
Yeah.
to be on the internet. Did you entertain those conversations or just move on to greener pastures in that regard?
I believe everybody, well, I came from a teaching background, so I'm
Sure.
always going to educate. And in 1999, with a baby in my arms, I flew to California and learned HTML
Wow.
to design websites
Yeah.
using Dreamweaver. But using Dreamweaver, I learned HTML. And so I was designing websites in 1999, a full good 10 years before you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and very rudimentary ones. And in fact, the whole long story with all of that. So that was after my teaching career and as before my sales career. It was a very interesting time. Um, Most recently, I will say now it's coming up on 3 years ago. I was talking to a woman who had just turned 30, and we were talking about this new thing called AI. And she's like, it's just a fad.
Mm.
And it brought me right back. And I'm like, you know what? I hate to say this, and you're young and you should be looking forward to all the cool stuff of the future, but you're so dead wrong. It is not a fad. And as we know, it certainly isn't, and it's just getting stronger every minute.
Yeah, I think the AI conversation is a good one and also a little bit nuanced. So is it um I guess I would generally in my work today there's a lot of people talking about AI and people trying to get AI into their business systems and such, and
Sure.
we do a fair amount of that. Our internal systems are woven with AI, of course, but hearing about, oh, what's your AI strategy is a bit like what's your internet strategy or what's your electricity strategy. It's like it's going to be in everything, right? It's not like the thing. It's not one thing, right? AI is not just one thing. It is just such a gradation of amazing things that you may or may not use, right? Like take a can opener. You could have an electric can opener, sure. Do you need an AI can opener that automatically opens the can when you're using a recipe that calls for a can? Like, of course not. Like, there's a right place for these things. And I have a bit of a bone to pick with like AI transformation and that being the thing. And it's like, well, most people's processes generally stink and they're still using a whiteboard or pen and paper. And like, let's do some foundational digital things first and build deterministic automations that result in something as opposed to let me just throw it at AI and hope it comes back perfect. Like it's just a bad expectation, I think, in a lot of marketing gives it bad hype.
And this gives me a perfect opportunity to be completely honest about what happens. I mean, I'm moving websites right now into it's a brand and it has workflows, it has automations.
Sure.
And as you're learning it, as you're moving things into it, there's just stuff you don't know. And so in our interactions to getting here today, yeah, you didn't get the link. It was a little bit of a snafu. Like, ooh, thankfully, we have other ways to communicate. We